Today we're going to have an old history with Joseph Ware, with his wife Helen, to talk about what he remembers from Essex County and Tappahannock.
Was your nickname that they dubbed you? What did they call you when you were born?
Oh yeah, when I was born they called me Railroad Ben Johnson, and I had to change that name.
So,
My sister didn't like it. Well, they used to have nothing but railroad mostly back there,
okay.
and when 22. So that's,
But that was a joke, right?
I don't know whether it was a joke or not, but they changed his name.
Thank the
My
Lord.
sister didn't like it, older sister.
Okay. You have more than one older sister or older and younger?
Well, I have one younger sister that's living. This one is dead.
Okay, right.
And then you had four brothers, right? You had four brothers,
Yeah, I had 4 brothers.
Wow.
still two living.
Wow.
2 of them are dead.
So,
Where did you go to school? What was your school like?
I went to school right across the field from my house.
really?
Do you know where the home that we refer to as Campbellton is? As you come into Dunsville, there's a cream-colored house that sits right on top of the hill, almost diagonally across from the store in Dunsville. Little,
Okay. You know, I don't think I've been back there.
and
So.
at that time, the school, when he was born, the road was just 2 lanes, and the school was on the adjoining property. Aren't you going to tell them about your school now?
What?
Go ahead and tell them about school.
Back to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had to make fires at the school. I don't know what they paid me, but probably 50 cents a fire. Had 2 rooms. Had an auditorium upstairs. And had a teacher there, Miss Minnie Garnett. And she was pretty rough.
Oh, she.
Kept me scared all the time.
Oh, gosh. So,
And when did you, let's see, that was what, you were going to school when? What year was that, when you started?
Well, I went to school when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
About 1928.
28.
And then I went down to Santa Claus District High School, Essex District High School. And that's when they had school bus.
You had a school bus to get to the
Yeah,
Santa
then school bus
Claus. Yeah.
had a Model A school bus, yeah.
Really? That?
And it would get hot.
Was that one of those original panel Model A's? Like a panel truck?
No, it was a regular school bus.
Oh, okay.
But the motor in it would get hot, and they'd have to slow down, park side of the road a while.
How did you do going up hills?
Well, we didn't have any hills to go up.
Oh, okay.
We just, they wouldn't let me drive it, they let my brother drive it. They said I was too reckless. That's right.
His brother that drove the bus is still living. He's 90, and he still practices law in Norfolk
Oh, really?
today.
It was a good school, and I took home economics and stuff like that.
That is good.
But I didn't learn too much because
What was your first job?
my first job, let me see, what was my first job?
Building fires at the schoolhouse.
I was drafted, no, I went to school. I went to Hargrave Military Academy.
You went to Hargrave.
So you graduated from
And,
Santa Cross and then went to Hargrave, is that right?
Then I went to, I went to Hargrave Military. And then I went to VPI. But before that, I went to the CMTC camp, Citizen Military Training Camp. And that's where they train you military. A couple of Sundays, summers, I went to the Citizen Military Training Camp. It was pretty rough training. And a friend of mine, he went to school with me. encouraged him to go there. And when the time to go in the military, he went in the Navy. He didn't like all that hard work,
Yeah.
marching and everything.
Was that Charles?
You know,
Who was that?
Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson. So he went into the Navy because he didn't like hard work?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of marching and a lot of getting up early in the morning and picking up cigarette butts and all that kind of stuff. And good training.
Yep.
But to prepare you, I reckon, let's see, Hitler came along, I reckon, preparing you for military.
Was that before you got out of high school or after you got out of high school? What?
That's when I was going to high school,
Okay.
yeah,
And
in the summertime. But I stayed busy.
Yeah.
When I got off the school bus, I had to go, I went home at about 4:30. I got my milk bucket, and put some water in it, and went to the barn, and took my dog and went down in the pasture and found the cattle and the horses, and I had to milk cows, a couple of cows, feed the horses, feed the chickens, and all that stuff. And by the time I got through, I didn't do too much studying.
I bet.
And in the wintertime, it was dark, I'd take a lantern. To already, when it was dark. And when it had to, I don't know if you know anything about milking or not.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Right. He does more than I do.
Well,
But
when I had to, the flies were pretty bad, and when the flies were bad, they kicked. So I had to tie the tail around the leg, keep from hitting me in the head.
Did you have barn cats, kittens and cats in the barn?
Oh yeah, we had a cat.
And did you give
Yeah, I shot him with milk, and they would stand up on the back leg.
oh gosh. How cute.
now you all,
So you had cattle.
well, my family did in North Dakota. My family had some farms, so.
Well, you know all about that then.
listen, you and Gilbert.
But when I was in high school, we won judges on chickens.
Poultry judging.
I think it was in Canada too.
You were in the FFA, and
Huh?
you were in the FFA, and you judged.
Yeah, we went to
Poultry.
Rexburg.
And
We won the certificate on the fact that we did a better job judging cattle and chickens. So that was good.
A better job judging
Cattle
than chicken.
and
and
chickens.
chickens and hens,
Okay. That's interesting.
laying chickens.
Tell them about the award you all won for your garden.
Hmm?
Tell them about the award that you and Arthur and Guilford won for being the best in thrift.
Best in the world.
Thrift. You save more money than anybody else.
Oh yeah, I had a certificate from the bank where we deposited a lot of, what a little bit of money we had, and we had a certificate on that. But we raised chickens. Started out with about 3 or 4 little chicken houses in the backyard,
How many chickens? Hundreds?
chicken houses,
How many
and the
chickens?
hens would lay eggs in there.
How many chickens?
And well, they lay, depends on how many they laid.
No, how many chickens did you have?
Well, at first I didn't have any chicken, but I had built these little chicken houses so the hens could go and lay. And then when they got so many eggs, they would start molting and sitting on the eggs. So that was my first raising chickens. And sometimes you get about six from each house. And then we got so that back then, people would buy little chickens through the mail. Well, lots of time the chickens would come through the mail and the people wouldn't pick them up. So they sell them to us at a reduced price. And that's when you 200 or 300 chickens.
Wow.
And the first raising those chickens, we get a barrel and put it halfway in the ground in the chicken house and put clay around it. And you'd have to get up at nighttime and make a fire in it so to stay warm in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So we started, and then we graded it. After they became popular, we graded the eggs and sold the eggs.
Did you more sell them to your dad for his store, or did you sell them other places too?
What?
The eggs, were they mostly sold at Ware's store or in other places?
Well, we sold it down at the store, but the fellow would come by and buy a crate. We had to grade them. Did you ever grade chicken?
No.
Then,
I'm familiar with it, but I've never done it.
you know,
His father
That's
had
where
the
we
general
made the
store
real
in
money.
Dunnsville, and that's where his outlet was to sell his eggs.
what?
I was explaining that Mr. Ware had a store at Dunnsville
Yeah, he ran the store.
and the post office too, didn't he?
He had a post office. And,
Did you make any money selling those chickens?
oh yeah, we made money on it.
Good.
Then we took a rooster, young rooster, and made capons out of them. Capons. You ever raise those?
Wait, what was that?
Capons.
Capons.
Yes.
And we sold the roosters for frying size. And then we sold some of the chickens.
Was this during elementary school or high school, or both?
In high school mostly.
So this is before you went off to college. You were doing that.
Oh yeah, we did it. Yeah, I had a brother. And he's a lawyer now.
But not everybody in the family can turn out good.
Well, he went to, but he raised chickens too, but he went to put a roof on his hen house. Instead of putting it on that right, he put it on that backwards.
Put the shingles on backwards. I know what it was. Put the shingles on backwards.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
And how did that get discovered that he had put them on there wrong?
Well, he started from the top and coming down, instead of from the down and going to the top.
That's why he became a lawyer instead of a farmer. I wish he would agree to be interviewed.
Tell his side of it.
He and the neighbor, and we got a kick out of that. But we had one big hen house and two small hen houses. Of course, we had a garden and we sold vegetables along at the roadside. And
Did you work in the store at all?
hmm?
Did you ever work in the store with your dad?
Yeah, I worked in the store some. and particularly when it got bigger. So we stayed with her.
Tell them about your dad and the shoe sales. Tell them about how your dad sold the shoes to that lady. You know what I'm talking about.
Huh?
Tell them about the lady that came in to buy shoes.
Oh, yeah, my father ran a store, and he sold shoes back then, you know. He had a big operation. In fact, people from Tappahannock would come down and buy. And so he had a fellow that was working there, was bald-headed. And I don't know if you remember, they had a stool that came over and went down like this.
Yep.
And the lady put the feet on that side of the stool. Well, he was bending over and checking one of the shoes, and this lady pulled a shirt right on top of his head because she thought it was her knee showing.
She thought it was her knee, and so she covered up the clerk's head. He was bald.
So we got to get together there. And both of my father and this fellow, both of them were bald headed.
Oh, God.
And my father would always say, talk to that bald headed fellow and stuff like that.
Oh, that is the funniest thing I've never heard that before. Oh, my goodness.
But that was a true story, see.
Yeah, right. Oh,
And then I went to Tappahannock. My sister taught at Lloyd's High School.
Do you know what Lloyd's is?
That's up in county.
It's their Upper Essex Baptist Church, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
okay, we know where that's at.
So I came to Tappahannock with her. And they had a golf course out back of the school. I don't think very many people remember that.
Where was the high school at that time, Joe?
Yeah, high
Where
school.
was it? Where was it?
Right behind right down on
Near the library.
right there on 17.
Okay, near the library.
Yeah,
Okay.
the library.
Isn't that where the elementary school?
Is it where the present
This
elementary?
was the only school they had, was that school.
Was a golf course behind that?
Right behind the school. And I used to caddy. They didn't have golf. They didn't have a way to drive a golf cart or anything. They didn't have golf carts.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you play golf?
No, I didn't play very much golf. I do too much work at home to play golf. The town of Tappahannock was mighty small. I knew everybody around. And
You didn't graduate from Tappahannock High School, though. You went back to Center Cross and graduated.
that's right, I didn't graduate. I graduated at Santa Cruz.
Whit Garrett was a year ahead of Joe in school.
Oh, I'll be darned.
But we didn't learn too much. So that's the reason we went to Hargrave Military Academy. So when I was up at Hargrave Military Academy, I was walking one Sunday morning up and down the street that we were marching, and that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor.
The day they bombed Pearl Harbor, that's what you were doing?
Yeah, got notified. So then I went to VPI, and after I left that school, and
You got drafted from VPI. You got drafted into the Army from VPI. Is that right? You got drafted is why you...
yeah, and then they started drafting everybody at VPI, so I got drafted up there.
And you were in World War II.
World War II, yeah.
Where were you? Where were some of the theaters, or where did you serve in World War II?
Well, I went to Camp Lee, was drafted at Camp Lee, and I applied. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to go in the Air Corps. I, I didn't have any experience whatsoever of flying a plane or anything else. So they put me in the Air Corps, and you know, the Air Force now, and it was Air Corps, and they sent me to St. Petersburg, Florida, and we just walked up and down the beach, and the only thing that we carried was a gas mask. That's all they had. And then I went to, let me see now, where did I go then? I went to Atlantic in
Atlanta.
Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia,
So you went Pensacola up to Atlanta.
at a hospital, and I learned how to make teeth
Really? Really?
and cast. But I was fortunate that it was only two of us that they chose, and both of us worked on the gold bench. We cast inlays and lingual bars and all that stuff. So then I did that at Greensboro, North Carolina. And things got kind of rough and where I was working. I had it really easy because I had a permanent pass to go and come when I wanted to. And I eventually had my own car. And I was a permanent party. And the major that was in charge of the permanent party was getting ready to retire, but then the war came on, so he was put in charge. He stayed in the service, and I used to drive him around and got to be good friends of his, and I could go and come when I wanted to as long as it worked. And so, and sometimes on Saturday and other times I'd work at the automobile place. Hudson. You remember Hudson?
Very, very well. My dad had three of them.
Oh, yeah?
1950, 52, no, he had four. He had a 50, 51, 52, and 54.
I had a 39 Hudson.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Those good cars, though.
And I worked in there for a while. But the people that took over the dental lab and everything, and I can't call, I'm afraid to say who it was, but eventually, this was a rubber depot where boys would come through and get all the necessary medical care and equipment and clothes and stuff. So my partner, Yuri, if I wanted to go somewhere, he would work for me, and I work for him, vice versa. And of course, when it got busy, sometimes I work at night and he would work in the day and so forth. But we always kept up with what was going on. But then a new officer got in charge of the general laboratory. In the meantime, I couldn't breathe very well, so I broke my nose playing ball. And so I couldn't get an appointment to go to the hospital and get it operated on without being about 3 months. They were so busy with
My permanent party officer sitting there. I'm gonna help you out. He said, I can either send you to California, out of Florida, or Atlantic City. So I chose Atlantic City. Up on the boardwalk,
Yeah,
you know where that is?
yes, yes.
Good choice.
And it was a hotel that was taking care of pilots that were under stress, and some of them had been shot down, stuff like that. And it was really a place that had a candy day, any kind of candy you wanted in the lobby, any kind of fruit you wanted. You could eat your meals anytime you wanted. You could look at a movie while you're eating.
It was an easy life. What
It
year?
was
What
easy.
year? What year was that?
He said, went in 46, 47, 43, 44. Must have been about the beginning of 44.
Okay. And the war ended then shortly thereafter.
Cindy, you went overseas though at
Hmm?
you went overseas at some point, did you not?
Hmm?
You went overseas when you were in the
Yeah,
Where did you go?
well, in Atlantic City, there was a group getting ready to go to Richmond Air Base. And I went in as this red-haired officer from West Virginia. I went in and asked him if it was possible to get with that group and go to Richmond Air Base. Well, he took care of me all right. He put me in the infantry.
Oh my gosh.
Where did you serve in the infantry? Where did you go?
I had to take a training, and I went to France, Germany, and Austria.
Was that 1944? Before
Yeah.
before V-Day.
Yeah. That was in Austria when Roosevelt died. You remember when he died?
Yeah.
I don't
So I came on the Queen Elizabeth, 44th Division.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them what happened to you.
Hmm?
Tell them what happened to you as you came home on the Queen Elizabeth
You mean
with Billy.
Queen Elizabeth was quite a ship. The ship that went overseas in, the Liberty ship, and they went up and down the way
Oh yes.
cars are built those piece by piece. Queen Elizabeth would shoot, break the wave into go right on straight.
Was
So
it,
that was quite
was
a
it-
ride.
Yeah.
It took me over 2 weeks to go overseas, about 5 days to come back.
Oh my word.
was it coming back on the Queen Elizabeth when you had your encounter with your childhood friend, Billy? Where were you when you met Billy Atkins?
Oh yeah, that's right. Coming back from France, when the war was over, I got on a ship coming across the English Channel. I was supposed to go get something to eat, but I was too tired. So I went down and looked for a place to take a nap. And I crawled up on this top bunk and went to sleep. And when I woke up, it was Billy Atkins, who was in the CB coming back, and he was my neighbor
And he graduated high school with you.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that right?
on the ship.
Didn't Billy graduate high school with you too?
Yeah, he went to high school
At
with me.
Santa Croix.
And he's like a good friend? Was he a good friend in high
Oh
school?
yeah, he did a lot of judging with
Oh.
the cattle and
Oh my
and
goodness.
chickens. Yeah,
Now,
he lived right across the field from me.
okay, is that Atkins Petroleum that's here now? No. Atkins Petroleum
Is that-
Company, is
No,
that,
it's different
it's a
Atkins.
Different
different
Atkins.
Atkins?
Yeah.
Okay, different Atkins.
Yeah, that's patrol. Yeah, different. His daddy helped my daddy.
Drink.
My daddy used to, when he was born, he walked all the way from Ware up to Dunsville to go to school.
Oh my. Your dad was the youngest of 10 children, is that right?
Hmm?
Your dad was the youngest of 10 children, is that correct?
I think so, yeah. And so, it's amazing what children have to go through now just to go to school.
Right. But what he had to go through.
I said, they didn't seem to mind it.
Right.
They didn't get an education, and I said,
Yeah,
Tell
they
them
worked.
about when telephone service came to Dunsville, how y'all got a telephone.
yeah, you remember the old phone?
Do
You ring it.
a party line?
Yeah, you ring it one time, you just be one place, and you ring it twice, and then you go through the lady answering the call and the rest in there.
I think what I'm trying to get at is, didn't you tell me at some point that there was the only phone was in the store, and then that some of your daddy's family ran lines down to Ware's Wharf?
Yeah, my dad's brother had telephone lines run down from Dunsville to Ware Wharf, and they sold it to a telephone company.
I'm sorry, they did what?
They sold it to the telephone company at the time.
Okay.
So,
Tell them a little bit.
well, you see, the Ware Wharf was a popular place because everything came from Baltimore. There were no railroads coming down, and
Tell them a little bit about how your dad came to the store and how you all started the Ware Oil Company, which is really where you spent a lot of
well,
time.
my dad didn't have any, he didn't have a job or anything, and this is right, that, and the war kind of put him in debt. So he came up and worked with my uncle, and they had a house at the back of the store. And my uncle, I think the uncle fed him, and I think he fed him about, he only made about 50 cents a week back then. Had a place to live. I was driving a cab working the government. And this lady was real nice, but she was the elderly lady. I think she was 45, 50. Well, she told me one time, now, if you have anything you want to use the refrigerator, you can come up and put your stuff in the refrigerator. So, I don't know, maybe I used it or maybe I didn't. But anyway, I probably did. So her husband got aggravated about it, and he kicked me out. He told me to leave. He didn't want me in there. He thought I was messing around with his wife already.
I figured she was more interested in you than your stuff in her refrigerator.
That's right. And then on driving the cab, picked up this woman. And she wanted to go to Haynes Point. So I took her to Haynes Point. She got out the cab and she was staring into water. And I couldn't figure out what in the world was wrong with her. And finally, I went out and she finally went back in the cab. But she had a raincoat on and it was summertime. And I couldn't understand it. So I happened to be living on MacArthur Boulevard, and this lady there worked for Army Map Service. So she knew this woman, and she said she probably didn't have any clothes on. And she worked for this girl worked for Army Map Service,
Yeah.
but she also worked right close to the Blair House at night time, taking care of the politicians, all right.
Yeah. Take care of them all right.
And then I got this fella one time. Got in the cab and he was looking for his wife. He was gonna shoot her. And so I drove him around different places. He wanted to go to restaurants. He couldn't find her. So going across the Potomac River Bridge, he kept the pistol and kept on holding like this, and I pushed it away from me. And I told him to take his pistol and the cops were gonna get him, and he take it and had a silencer on it and take it and put it on out the window, shoot it up in the house, going across it. Kind of scared me, so I finally got rid of him. He had to go to Arlington, and he didn't pay me anything, so I'm glad I got rid of him.
Yeah.
And then I got this woman that was drunk, and I take her one place, and this is not where she wanted to go. She wanted to go another place, and another place, and another place. So finally I went to this restaurant back of a train station and gave her some money to get another cab. Get rid of her.
Dang, that was an exciting time, wasn't it? Joe, didn't the showboat used to come to Tappahannock?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember about that?
My brother had a Model A, 29 Model A. I think it was 29. Yeah, 29. Had high wheels on the back. The showboat used to come to Tappahannock up in the Hoskins Creek.
Mm-hmm.
You know where the ship. That was a real thing. You stay up there a week or 10 days. So, in this Model A, had a rumble seat in the back. And my brother brought my dad and mother sitting up in front. And we were sitting in the back. And the wheel ran off of it. And my daddy, he must have been pretty strong back then. He lifted that Model A up and put that wheel back on. Amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if you recognize, this is the old pictures of Tappahannock,
Mm-hmm.
and thought maybe come through some of those and tell us a little bit about what you remember.
Yeah, we used to drive off these, we used to drive off these things. This was the house right there at that time. Now, let's see, this is Bellevue, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
where during the Civil War, they shot a bunch of cannon in that. And, Macon,
Macon Ware, yeah.
they'd fall down. Oh, they had places in that house where the cannon shot during the Civil War.
Now,
That's the
this is in Dunsville. This is the cannery. That didn't have anything to do with your family, though, did it?
Oh, the Creek Cannon, yeah, I worked there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Candy Major.
Really?
Yeah,
Mr. Creed owned it, didn't he?
you know, they just take them and then take the tomatoes and they steam them, and you just peel it off, and you put a little metal thing in your bucket. First it was 3 cents, and then it got to be 5 cents for a bucket of peeled tomatoes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I worked
I think it's interesting also with the Tollifers doing the pickled.
Yeah, I remember
Did you ever work with the Tollifers on the
no, I used to eat some of the watermelons they plant.
They're wonderful people.
Oh my God.
Okay, this is Estes store at
Oh,
Howard.
James Estes store.
How
Ask Joe who sold Estes his gas.
Oh, must
Let
be.
me tell you a story about that.
Good, good.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute, where is it? He put a entrance here.
This is the entrance, and here's the gas pumps on the side, because he looked out the window and saw when people were pumping gas.
Let me see.
And then later they reworked it, I think.
He must have put a door here, didn't he?
I don't know.
Son, let me see.
Go on and tell your story, don't worry about the.
Anyway, he, during the winter time, ice was built up around the door, so he put a wooden walkway. And then he put, salt on that. It would want to keep people from falling.
Oh, right.
So what happened was the pipes went around. That's a pump down. I don't know what that is.
That's the kerosene pump.
The pipes went around, went under that, and went to the gas pumps. So naturally, he had an open well in the back. Well, the pipes rusted out, and the kerosene, this must have been a kerosene pump.
That's the kerosene pump.
And the fellow that operated, he died. Another fellow took it over.
Oh.
And he did some, I'm not sure whether gasoline got in the well or whether kerosene got
It
in
was
the well.
gasoline. I remember it. You had the little checkerboard store when I came.
Yeah, one of the stations burned down. A fella allowed somebody to go back in the back and to take off a gas tank on a car, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. You caught a fire, burned it down.
Was the Texaco station down there next to Russell Lewis's?
Wait, say it again.
Was the Texaco station there next to Russell Lewis when you came?
No.
Okay,
No.
that's what burned, was there.
Okay.
And that was an outlet for well company.
Then they built a station right there in the corner as you go in town on the right hand side. And then we
It's
had a
Sunoco
little,
now.
It's still a Texaco. It's a supermart, but isn't it a
It's a
Texaco?
Sunoco now.
Yeah, okay.
then we had a little station across the street from that, across, before that, was named Step and Go.
Okay.
And, we did good business there, little one. And we sold discount gas, we didn't sell Texaco though.
And then
And then they had a Texaco station down the street.
we built the store in Dunsville and sold
Then they built one to Santa Claus.
Well, so you had your own retail outlets. How many retail outlets did you have?
Well, it got to, EPA got so bad, and, we had to get rid of the tanks.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
three retail outlets, and then you sold to other people.
Yeah,
Who
that was my next question. So you had 3 retail, and then you were wholesaling to independents
All over the county,
all over the county.
up around Supply.
And but all your fuel came from Texaco. They were Texaco. Okay.
Except what we sold in the little store right now it's charcoal gray, but back in those days it was red, white, and blue checkerboard.
All right.
And so that was it.
Tell me though, again, maybe you mentioned earlier, and I was doing some other things, but how did you really get started in the oil business? What's the genesis from what got
Well,
you
my
into
father,
it and grew
my
it?
father had a stroke, and he was not able to take care of it. And my brother,
Well, let's back up a minute. Your father had the store, but he also ran the Ware Oil Company from
Yeah,
that
from the
store.
store.
So your father started the oil, and it was mainly heating oil distributing, or was it also gasoline?
Well, at first, now this is a long time ago. The boats would come up and bring kerosene. That was the beginning. And they put it in the barrels and tie the barrels together and pull them up the river. Of course, they didn't have but 42 gallons in them.
Mhm.
And they would float.
Sure.
Now that was a long time ago, and then the boats would come in.
But at
Yeah.
that point, your father and his brother had the Ware Oil Company, and they would bring the oil barrels from the wharf to Dunsville. Am I correct about that? How did you get the product to the store to
Oh,
sell?
by wagon. No, that was way back then. Yeah. Product came up by wagon. In fact, we used a wagon when I was growing up. I go down the grist mill, and it was a big hill. The road would go right down like that. And we'd have to tie a chain around the wheel, one of the wheels, so the wagon wouldn't get
But
away.
your storage tanks initially were at Ware's Wharf, is that correct? For the Ware
Oh,
Oil Company?
yeah.
Well, tell Ron about how you became involved in it. That's what he needs to know, is how did all that come about?
Well,
Well, let me ask you another question, which I'm trying to fit in. Because you had Ware's Wharf, and Ware's Wharf had the railroad track, and they'd bring the oil up in the barrels, the 42-gallon barrels at that time.
yeah.
Did they then unload them at Ware's Wharf,
Yeah,
and then from there?
they had pipes running all the way back to tanks.
Oh, at that time you already had tanks.
Yeah,
Oh, and I mean pipes. You had
Yeah.
pipes going to,
the tanks and it was piped all the way back.
and you pumped it.
They pumped it in there.
Okay.
And
This picture was what, in the 30s around?
it looked like a model. That's a,
Because
looked
you're-
like a dog there.
If I remember right, we had a sign in Ware Oil Company that said Ware Oil Company was a Texaco dealers from 1938. Am I right about that, or is that?
I think so.
So they had the post office, the store, and the Ware Oil Company in this one store building. And then eventually, your dad moved over and built an office building for Ware Oil Company. Is that right?
Mhm.
When did your father build the Ware Oil Company separate and start a separate business?
I separated it.
Oh, you separated it from the store. Okay,
Yeah.
excuse me. All right.
And that was after World War II then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was what, in the 50s? Probably.
Yeah, that was it.
Was it in the 50s? Your dad?
We moved everything up from down on the road. See, the tank was still down there, at Ware's Wharf. And the trucks would go down there and load. And,
You moved things from the river after your dad's death or prior to his death
I was building the tank
when he died?
down
In
there.
59 then?
Yeah, when did I?
59?
I think I built it in 56 one. I think it was. Yeah. I don't know, I can't remember all that stuff. But anyway,
But ultimately, you took over the Ware Oil Company, you and Arthur and Guilford and your mother and your brother James then stepped into the operation of the store and the post office.
Mhm.
Is that right?
You remember the Star automobile?
I've heard of it, but I don't really remember it.
It used to be, you come up to the store, you see a Star. When I was in Washington, this lady had this automobile with a stick, you know, and she wanted to sell it for $700. And they had a mechanic come in and start it up, and I rode with the man around the block, and it had a small motor in it.
But when was that built? When was that car built? That had to be
That
40,
was
50
back-
years old then.
Yeah, that was way back.
Yeah.
One of the first.
Wow.
I forgot the name.
Should have bought it.
But well, I didn't, if I'd bought it, I didn't have to keep it back.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to teach Helen how to repair old wires. You know, I wanted to help my nephew. So we bought, how many houses? Three houses and an apartment up in Arlington when things were cheap, you know. You could buy a house for $75,000, less than $100,000.
Right.
And my nephew was, he could have made some money off it. So Helen went up there and worked on it. She was a good carpenter.
You and I both work out that's apartments up there, and he stood around and watched, and his wife came in her tennis skirt, and they were filthy, dirty, bug-eaten, and so the partnership kind of went. But we did all right.
Well, we didn't make any money because the nephew, he was a lawyer and he liked the country club more than he did his work. And he really messed us up. We worked hard.
Joe's sister.
I think what I'm getting from this whole discussion today, you've worked hard all your life.
Absolutely.
More or less, yeah.
You worked hard all your life.
Right. Helen, she worked mighty hard too.
I didn't do anything.
She learned how to do all that work.
And it seems to me, with the taxi cab business that you did up in Washington D.C., and of course, obviously the oil business,
The land
you always
excavation.
had a little bit of a nose for following the money.
No, I don't know about that.
Joe,
I just married money, that's what it was.
you did not. You have been very astute in your life, and you've done well, and you shouldn't be ashamed.
Well, I was
of that.
in real estate business too.
Oh, okay.
He sold real estate and lived in Richmond.
So
and
real estate.
sold down here and over there too, and did.
And you know, I bought a lot of houses and I worked on them. And you could go in and put any kind of business anywhere.
Yeah.
The property was still high for me.
The secret to Joe is hard work.
But getting back to Arlington now,
Don't want me to
anybody could have gone to Arlington and made $1 million.
Yeah.
What I did was to go to the bank and got the bank to
Archivon.
huh?
Archivon let you. The
Yeah, to let me, to qualify me for 150,000. So when I sold a house, when I bought a house, they got a deed of trust on it.
No, they had a mortgage on it.
Got a mortgage on it, that's all. They took a mortgage on it. So they worked along with me, see. But I've been broke a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, when you born and raised in the area, I went to John Perry, and I need $30,000. And he said, all you have to do is sign a note. He put a note out there and signed it.
Was he over at EVB? Was he at Southside or was he at
Southside.
I don't know how well you know Luther Derby.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, do we
But talking to you reminds me very much of talking to him. You both are about the same age, I believe. He spent some time in World War II, as you did. In fact, he was in Europe about the same time you were, as I recall. And he had different businesses, bought and sold houses and repaired them, and had a restaurant and had an interesting life.
He was in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
I knew. Well, in fact, he bought some property from me.
Through you or from
No,
you?
no.
He bought it from you as a real estate broker.
Yeah, the Cargill. What happened was during the war, we would, I'd send some money home from my daddy to invest. Very little, and he bought some property out in Wakefield, where the old racetrack was out there, and a horse, it turned to be a horse, some gallon horses or something racing, and that's what Luther bought.
Yeah.
But I had a problem with that property. Somebody, in order to develop the property on the other side of it, had to go through it. So, they didn't get permission or anything. They put a road through the, or they were working on the road, so I got this flagboard to go up there and put a chain across. That was at one of the mills in Tappahannock.
Really?
You and Luther have been friends a
Hmm?
long You and Luther have been friends a long
And
time.
then-
though,
Luther later bought the property.
Hmm.
But he was pretty good at it because he built a lot of apartments
Yes.
and ran them.
Yeah, Luther and Joe are Masons, and they were Shriners together. Of
Okay.
course, our Shrine Club folded, so I don't know if Luther's still active anywhere or not. Joe isn't. So,
Yeah, he was a good restaurant operator. He operated that restaurant out on the water down at the mountain, and then he had another restaurant.
he had one at Mechanicsville. Didn't he have one at Mechanicsville?
Is that, I think, more
No,
towards Asheville or Ashton?
360 was
Yeah, on 301 or
one up there.
yeah.
He's a good
Still-
cook. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he knows
what-
all about cooking.
If he were still able, he'd be the guy to get to cook something for us to have
That's
a big
exactly
dinner.
right.
You know, he's a nice fellow. I like him a lot.
But I've got a whole checker. It's got 4 doors on each side.
A non-checker limousine.
Oh,
6 checker. And I've gotten too old to finish fixing it up. We drove it one time.
so you have it stored in a garage or something?
No, just got a couple of
It's in
times.
the yard under a top.
It's so long. I need to do something about it.
Phil out here on Airport Road has been gonna come and get it and restore it, but somehow he just doesn't seem to get to it. So I don't know.
You see,
Well,
when
I
I
think-
had my
And this man, you got to talking to him, and he worked at the shipyard or something, and he asked you if y'all would like to tour the shipyard.
Oh yeah, we went in the shipyard, and they gave us a parking place right at the gate, and they showed us all around the ship, and the ship they were working on and everything.
And
They treated us royally.
There they were out there, 4 yokels, you know, and one on each seat of this car, and they planted, whoever Paul Tribble's crew put all these flags on it. They were flying everywhere. I got a picture
They
of
thought
some.
we were officials.
And they thought they were really somebody important, so they
They
took
really
him a
laid out
VIP tour of the shipyard.